I mean, any additional thoughts? Because I think it's mediocre. I mean,
it's another movie that tried.
It tried.
It's a solid movie. It's not. There's a few parts that are memorable, like the creature design, and there's some disturbing stuff. Yeah, the guy with the barbed wire, like the hogtie dude. Yeah, that was creepy stuff. But
babies.
it was a solid film. It wasn't terrible.
It was one of the better steps in the right direction.
Yeah.
Again, which I don't. This whole thing of forward, backwards, forward, backwards, forward, backwards. After a while, it kills the whole medium as a whole. So, but I want to talk about this real quick.
That movie never happened.
I would say we're going to end on this movie mainly because I feel that the image has. It says a lot that you have to reboot a franchise because the first movie wasn't that great, and then you end up making something that's even worse, essentially killing the franchise. And I don't know if you've seen fan videos that can bring it back, but I don't think Hollywood wants to help bounce it back. I think it's done with, which is really pissed off because, as we said, it's a tournament. They fight. What's so hard about that? I don't mind seeing a movie just about Chun-Li if it's her arc throughout the tournament, fighting and getting from point A to point B. I don't want. Oh, thank you. I don't want to see the lead up into a tournament of her boring past that's not even
canon
appropriate. I wouldn't mind seeing something if it was tailored to who she was as a character. But this movie was bad. It was boring. The fighting was weird. The special effects were sucky. And I can only sum it up with this one clip. And that one still.
She did, and that's the best cut. That's the most disturbing
thing. It sums it off. There's a rapper singing about street fighting.
That's the best cut.
Ugly. She's skinny as all hell. Buns are non-existent. And
you mean the ones up here?
Yeah. Both buns are non-existent. So, but yeah, let's have our final thoughts on this and then wrap it up. So, Dave, Legend of Chun-Li, it sucks.
Yep. It sucks. I've only seen clips online. I can't sit through it. The trailer was more than enough for me. Yeah.
What's the name of the main actor? You guys know what I'm talking about. The cop? No. No one knows his name?
Chris Klein?
Yes, motherfucker. Yeah, Chris Klein. He's part of the reason this movie is so bad. The whole time he's like posing for I don't know, some kind of ad.
I love my job.
Yeah, this weird like hunch thing with his shoulders. He kind of walks around like, yeah, I love my job. Yeah, like, and yeah, all of his lines he's kind of like reading it like, yeah, punchline, but they're not punchlines. They're just the script.
That's an interesting point. Every line you read is a punch. It's like a punchline to a joke he didn't say.
I think it seems like every movie has different people in it that are more enthusiastic or less enthusiastic. Sometimes it's the star, sometimes it's the director, sometimes it's the writer. This movie seems like it was a big crew of people going, why are we here? I just get that idea from watching it. I mean, I've only seen a couple clips and, friends of mine making fun of it. We thought about doing like a riff tracks kind of Mystery Science Theater 3000 thing to it, but I haven't watched the whole thing. But it's like, just a sense of like, who was the guiding spirit of this piece of crap? Who was like, yes, my creation has come to be. Yes!
It's weird because a producer, I mean, it says a lot when a producer says, you know what will bring this franchise back? The guy who directed Dune. We should bring him back and do it.
Finally getting what he deserves. Another movie to ruin.
But I feel this was the last major blow to what could be, the whole legacy of video game movies. Because it got to a point where now they rebooted something and they even failed on the reboots. Which means that they didn't know what they did the first time around wrong and that they had to do it wrong again to justify what they did wrong.
No, they made it worse.
Yeah.
I don't think so. Because, I mean, honestly, if remaking the first one would have, I would prefer them remaking the first one than seeing this, because at least you can stay on the line, but then, right with Legend of Chun-Li.
Well, it just wasn't timely either. It's kind of like when somebody leaves the room in a great mood, and then in the room there's really sad news, and everybody's like, oh, it's kind of, somebody comes back in like, hey, let's have a party. And it's like, Not the time, man. Like, this movie just was like, hey, we're gonna do a Street Fighter movie. There's totally a reason. No, there's not in 2009. What are you talking about, you know? And they just didn't carve out, it wasn't timely, it wasn't right. They didn't go, yes, now is finally our time to tell Chun-Li's story. Like, there was no reason to, and they didn't take the mantle and do anything with it. I'm just angry about it.
Yeah, I think we're gonna end quickly with Prince of Persia. Maybe it did another step in the right direction, having a producer that has money behind it. I'm hoping desperately that after this, things might turn around, but the damage that's been done over the last 10 years, and I'm not saying this is a fantastic movie, but the damage over the last 10 years, it's going to take years to fix. Thoughts?
Prince of Persia surprised me. I played only the original, I didn't play Sands of Time, but it was fantastically done. I thought it was a pretty good cast. The uncle guy that's there on the poster on the left there,
Ben Kingsley.
Yeah, Ben Kingsley, that's right. His acting I think was a little weak, but overall it wasn't too bad. It wasn't too bad at all.
Yeah, I would consider this and Mortal Kombat to be the two best video game adaptations. I feel like... yeah, I mean, it definitely left a lot out from the video game series, but what they had in there stayed true to what was in the game series. And they did the whole time traveling thing very well, and it was a fun movie. It wasn't super violent. It was kind of family friendly, but still had enough action in it to you know, make it enjoyable for all audiences. And I think that the director did a fairly good job of it.
Didn't see it.
So, closing statements. Video game movies shouldn't suck, and what we've learned, I mean before this, but it's apparent now, is that the steps to making a good video game movie are there. I mean, it may not be a guaranteed hit, but if you follow a certain formula and certain steps, at least you'll have a better history of video game movies, because even some of the more mediocre to bad comic book movies are better than a majority of video game movies, which says a lot that why don't producers care enough to, you know, protect these properties, or why don't the creators care enough to protect these properties?
I think the answer, this is my theory, is a matter of generation. You know, I was born the year before the NES was available, 2 years after Donkey Kong arrived on the scene. And so, you know, like, I was in one of the first Nintendo generations where I was born into a world where I didn't know a world without it. And the people that make the decisions about movies and generally have the money and have the power were not part of that generation. They're 40, 50, 60, maybe they have kids that get into it, but it wasn't that part of their heart, it wasn't part of their childhoods, whereas there's plenty of people that are, you know, like old, that were all about comic books in their youth. They sort of get it. So I think that it's just going to be a matter of time before people in our generation realize, hey, this is because it's like this. Sometimes you can tell that a filmmaker said, there's this beautiful thing and I'm going to show it to the world and say this is beautiful. And then the way that I show them it is, they will realize it is too. Because producers of these movies sometimes go, what is this thing? I don't know what it is. How do we sell it? What is it? You know what? Get something else. Hey, this was kind of like, okay, watch this. And it's like, that sucks, dude. That's not what it was in the first place. So once somebody gets to the point where there's enough power centered in the generation of people that understand why these things are important to people like us and the whole cultural vernacular, then I think maybe we will see more stuff like the references in Scott Pilgrim, which were so, even though that movie was whatever it was, there were references in it that were like, I didn't know you could do that in a movie. I didn't know you could have the Zelda fairy theme for a sequence, or, you know, in a movie. I didn't know you could make a reference that is so part of my life in a Hollywood film that makes my jaw drop and go, oh my God, this was made for me. But they'll figure it out one day when we get to the point where we're, you know, old, you know, the people that are really old now die. And, you know, kind of, we all just kind of move up one notch and we're in charge. Sorry, that was a bit of a ramble. Any closing?
There's apparently a new Mortal Kombat movie being made by the guy who did the pretty good web series thing.
I'd be behind that, yeah. Any
I thought it was
closing
awesome.
statements?
I remember when the pitch came out online, it became this big thing because appeared on YouTube out of nowhere. Everyone's like, whoa, this is actually really good. And I thought that the web series was good for the budget that they had. It was obviously very low budget, but they did backgrounds for all the characters, so you watch that, you know about the characters, so hopefully when the movie comes out, it will be awesome, because we're connected to all the characters, and he proved that he could direct, you know, a Hollywood-style action film and make it look good. All right, you guys?
I like the web series. It was good.
All right. Okay. On that note, I want to thank my panel here for contributing to this phenomenon of bad video game movies. Hopefully there's a turning point in the future. As Brent says, I think we're going to be the ones to do it after everyone else dies, which is a positive thing. Thanks everyone for coming. We're from Blue Force Studios, that's Rental Vlog. Check us out at blueforcestudios.com. We have a fundraiser going where we have a 2-disc set on Mega Man for donators, a bunch of swag. We have flyers around and cards, so grab something, props for Mega Man. So, we're Blue Force Studios, he's Rental Vlog. Thank you very much for coming.